Brendan Dassey trial transcript, day 4, page 188, continuing questioning of Investigator Wiegert. All right, and let's set that aside for a moment. And in the time we have this afternoon, I'd like to focus your attention on a particular part of your investigation in this case, all right? Specifically, that is with respect to your interview in context with a young woman by the name of Kayla Avery, all right? Specifically, directing your attention to February 20, 2006. On that particular day, did you have an opportunity to interview Kayla Avery? I did. Myself, along with a female detective at our department by the name of Wendy Baldwin, had went to the Avery property, which would be the Earl and Candy Avery property, to interview Kayla. Our purpose for going there was because we had some information from another person, which we had interviewed, that Kayla had information about Steve Avery. Our purpose for going there was to interview Kayla in reference to Steve Avery. All right, and at some point during that interview, did the discussion change focus from Steve Avery to Brendan Dassey? Yes, the interview started out about Steve Avery, and Kayla was talking about her relationship with Steve Avery. And just about at the end of that interview, Kayla, out of the blue, basically came out and told us that she had a cousin by the name of Brendan, and that Brendan was, quote, acting up lately. So we asked Kayla what she meant by Brendan acting up lately. At that point, Kayla told us that Brendan would just stare into space and start crying, basically uncontrollably. She also told us that Brendan had lost approximately what she estimated to be about 40 pounds. Now, based on this information, what did you decide to do? Well, after looking at that information and reviewing other interviews that were done, we decided that we needed to talk to Brendan again. And did you talk to him? We did, yes. And when did you talk to Brendan again? Myself and Agent Fossbender interviewed Brendan on February 27 of 2006. All right, now before we get into the details of that, I have a few more questions relative to Kayla Avery. On this December 20, 2006 interview of Kayla, who was present? It had actually been February. Excuse me, I'm sorry, February 20. Kayla was present. There was two of us investigators, myself and Wendy Baldwin, Kayla, her mother Candy, and her father Earl. All right, and did there come a time where you re-interviewed Kayla? We did. Shortly after Brendan was arrested, actually, we interviewed Kayla again, and that would have been on March, I believe it was March 7 of 2006. All right, and what was the reason for revisiting or re-interviewing Kayla Avery? Well, I take you back a little bit. Shortly after Brendan was arrested, and I believe I would have been on like February 28, we had received a call from the Mishicot School District. Two of the counselors at the Mishicot School District, after hearing that Brendan had been arrested, had called and reported that they may have some information in reference to the Teresa Hallbach homicide. All right, and as such, did you then respond to the school to interview the counselors? We did. Again, myself and Agent Fossbender went to the school the following day, right away in the morning, where we met with two counselors, Mrs. Brandt, and I believe it was a Mrs. Baumgartner. All right, and you interviewed them? We did, yes. After interviewing them, where did you go next? Well, after getting the information, we thought we needed to go back and talk to Kayla again. All right, did you in fact go back and re-interview Kayla? We did. We actually, after interviewing the two counselors, we made phone contact with Kayla's mother and informed her that we had been at the school and that we needed to talk with Kayla again. And we actually set up an appointment with Kayla's mother, and Kayla's mother, Candy, invited us to her residence. So waited for Kayla to come home from school, and then we went over to the Avery residence and again interviewed Kayla in the presence of her mother again and her father. All right, was her mother present for the entire conversation? Her mother was. Candy Avery was present for the entire conversation with Kayla. Her father Earl was in and out. All right. And during that interview with Kayla Avery, did you discuss with her the report that Brendan Dassey told her he had seen body parts in a fire behind Steve's garage? We did, yes. And what did she say about that? Well, Kayla came out and told us quite a few things at that point. Basically, she first broke down crying and indicated to us that she had learned from her cousin Brendan that she stated that she had learned this in about December, around the time there was a birthday party that they were both at Kayla's house, and that Brendan had told Kayla that he had went and got the mail and went over to Stephen Avery's residence and went into the residence and observed Teresa Halbach pinned up in Steve Avery's bedroom. She went on to tell us a couple of other things. She told us that Brendan had told her that after he had saw Teresa Halbach pinned up in the bedroom, that he exited the residence, and while leaving Steve Avery's residence, he heard screaming coming from Steve Avery's residence. Kayla went on to tell us how she had mentioned Brendan being out at the fire on Halloween night, and she also told us that her and her mother had seen the fire on Halloween night. Kayla went on to tell us how Brendan described seeing body parts later that day or that evening in the fire behind Steve Avery's residence. Now, during the questioning of Kayla Avery earlier this week, a statement, exhibit number 163, was shown to her. Are you familiar with that? I am, yes. All right. Was that statement generated by her? That's correct. Kayla wrote out that statement on her own. All right. And was that statement written on this day, March 7, 2006? Yes. During the interview at Kayla's home, did she appear confused at all, unsure of what she was telling you? No, she did not. Was she upset? Yeah, she was upset. Did it appear to you that this was something easy for her to tell you about? No, obviously not. I mean, like I explained before, she had broke down crying and was visibly upset when she was telling us about this information. All right. Now I want to back up a little bit here. Returning then 2 weeks earlier, to that February 20 interview, your first encounter with Kayla Avery at that particular point in the investigation, what plans, if any, did you investigators have relative to speaking with other members of the Avery family? Let me just back up a little bit. We were constantly, as investigators, have meetings about this case and where we should go with it, what we should be doing. Because of the enormity of the case, we would get leads in all the time. There would be people calling in, look at this, look at that. What we decided that we needed to do in order to do a thorough investigation, we needed to go back and interview everybody who had access or who lived on that property. I felt, and I think I can speak for Mr. Fossbender, that I don't believe we, Attorney Freeman. Objection, speaking for another person, Judge. I think the witness can only speak for himself. The court, all right, sustained. Speak for yourself. The witness, certainly. I felt that we needed to, in order to do a thorough investigation, we needed to go back and talk to everybody who lived on that property. Attorney Fallon, all right. And so around that time, was that the plan? Yes, absolutely was. Based on the, at that particular point in time, could you say, from an investigative point of view, that Brendan Dassey was at all a suspect? No, we didn't consider him a suspect any more than we considered anybody else at that point as a suspect, no. All right, now who was the first one of the family members to be re-interviewed? I can't recall exactly which one, but I can say that, and if I can back up a little bit again, sure. We not only felt the people on that lived there, we thought the extended family, i.e. Kayla and Earl and Candy and their children, should be interviewed as well. So by my recollection, it was probably Kayla most likely. All right, and during the course, did you in fact go back and re-interview most, if not all, of the immediate and extended family? I can tell you everybody that lived on that property and the extended family, as far as we knew it, such as Earl, Candy, and their children, were re-interviewed, yes. All right. In terms of the decision to re-interview Brendan Dassey on February 27, was there any particular reason that occurred at or around that time? Yes, after receiving information from Kayla on the 20th of February. Obviously, the loss of weight, the uncontrollable crying are signs that we look for. I mean, it's a change in behavior. It's not normal for a 16-year-old boy to be just crying uncontrollably and just lose that type of weight. So obviously, that's something we look for. And for lack of a better word, it kind of moved into the front of the line, and we needed to interview him and talk to him. Now, and at that particular point, did you have some suspicion as to what may be causing the weight loss and change in behavior? I mean, particularly speaking? Well, absolutely. I mean, at that point, we felt he knew more than he was telling us, and we do a lot of other things before we go interview people. We review prior interviews, such as the gentleman's interview that was sitting here prior to me, Marinette County's interview. I mean, review that, and we take a look at what he told them. There are things in there that didn't quite fit either. So you take some of the things that he told the Marinette officers that just didn't seem to fit, and then his the losing weight and the uncontrollable crying. Obviously, that points you in a direction you want to go. He's somebody you need to talk to. All right. Attorney Fallon, Your Honor, at this particular point, I think it's time to take that break. The court, I think, yeah, this would appear to be a good break point time. We'll adjourn for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll remind you, don't talk about this among yourselves or with anyone else. We'll convene tomorrow at 8:30. Court stands adjourned at 4:26 p.m.